Hello and welcome. This is System Gold with Randall, and today I'll be showing you how to drop multiple images in Corel Photopaint X7. When I first started using Corel Photopaint X7, I was frustrated because when I tried to drop the images, it wasn't working. I would drop them here, and it wasn't working. So since that time, I found a few different ways to do it. So the first way I'll show you. First, I tried to drop them here. Nothing would happen actually at all. Then I found out these tabs that come up here, you could add tabs. There's a little X right in the corner. You just X out of it. Now when you have a blank screen, you could drop the images and it sizes each window to the image perfectly. You don't have to resize the image. The image is not too big, too small. It's exactly the same size. So you can go through and edit each one. The second way is to grab this and pull it down. And now you have the background screen. You may want the welcome screen, so you pull this down, keeping the welcome screen there. And you can still drop all your images. They're already highlighted. You drop them there and it resizes them. Now you say, what do I do with this? You just drop it back in here. The easiest way to do it, put it at the end. You see that black mark there? That shows you're going to drop it. You drop it there first, and then if you want, you could move it to the front of the line, out of the way. And again, you follow that black line. There it is. And there it is. Okay, the next method is, and the last method, and the best method, is to take them all, though already highlighted, and go to this bar here. You don't go on the welcome screen, but you can go anywhere here, and you drop them all. So, in case you don't know, you click somewhere outside the images and you drag so they're highlighted. You let go and then you click again. Now you have them all. You go to Corel Photopaint and then you go to this bar and you drop them, and there they all are. And that's all there is to it. I don't usually use the welcome screen, so I just X out of it anyway. But just to show you the different options there, I'll take you through the editing of these images really quickly. These are from my blog for kids, and I'll leave the link below. Okay, so when I look at these images, I want the lines to be smooth. I don't want any jagged edges. These are kind of sketches. Sometimes there's a little color outside the lines and things like that. You want it to look smooth. You don't want your eyes to be drawn at the jaggedness of it. So you always use the Effects Blur Jaggedy Speckle. I guess it's named that to get rid of the jagged edges. And since it's a large object, I go all the way to 5, and it does pretty well. And sometimes you even do more than that. A smaller object, probably 1 would have worked, but you just keep playing with it until once it gets too blurry, then you take it back 1 or 2. Now for the color, I want it brighter and more colorful. So usually I keep the brightness and intensity on 0, and I bring this middle one all the way up. And as you bring the contrast up, you're losing details of your work, but you're getting it brighter. So this is as bright as it'll go in this one shot here. Just to see where it can go, then you bring it back down. And now you say, well, it actually can use a lot more color. So then you slowly go, I go to each of these marks. You get it. And that looks good. So if I start going higher than that, I start losing too much detail in the hair. So I bring it back 1, and it's perfect. And now I always put a border. You can resize, when you resample the actual image. The image is on a background, a paper, if you would, the same exact size as the image. So when you change the paper size, you can make the actual paper larger than the image. The paper that's in the background, the same size as the image, you make it larger. So when it's centered and you increase the size of the paper, you're increasing it on all the sides equally. So if you're doing the width, you'll have the width go equally on both sides, and if you change the height, you would change it equally. So in this case, it's centered. I want a black border. This is to make a border, by the way. I always change this to pixels, and I add 200 pixels. Since these are it's a large image, I add 200 pixels to the paper size on each. So 24, I make it 26, and then you can see the nice black border around it. Now that I have the border, I want to decrease the size of the entire image, including the background. So I resample it, pixels, and I change it to 650. These are locked in. So when I change one, it'll change the other automatically to keep the coordinates, to keep the specs the size, not the coordinates. And I could change the height as well, and then it would automatically change the width. But I usually just change the width because on my blog that I'm putting this, I like the width to be 650. So if the height is more or less, it doesn't matter. As long as the width is 650, I'm happy. So I change that. It automatically goes like that. And to make it bigger, you could either click on this and bring it to 100, or you can scroll with the middle scroll button on your mouse until it gets to 100, and then you can see exactly what it looks like. It's nice and clear, it's smooth, it's bright. And now when you save it as, put it to the desktop, and I put it to 327. This is the name of the original image, so you always change it a little bit for the new image, because you may say, you know what, there's something about it I don't like. I'm going to go back to the original and change it. You don't want to start editing the edited. It's like making a copy from a copy. It doesn't work. So I save that there. And once it's saved, I X out of it. And then I go to the next one. This is a chocolate covered grasshopper, it appears. So we go to the effects. It could use a little bit of blurring, but it's really not that bad. So let's go blur, jagged to speckle. And that looks good. It's all the way up on 5. And we want the brightness. Bring the brightness all the way up. That's a little too bright. And this is a little bit not bright enough. And the detail isn't so extensive that you really need to worry about the detail that much. I mean, it's basically a stick figure or something. It's nothing that great. But we don't want to lose, we want it to be a hint of detail there. So I think that's as far as we want to go. If we keep going, we'll lose the detail completely. See that? So we want to go down so we still see some detail, but it's bright. There's a hint of it there. Okay, we'll go like that. Another way, let me do Control Z to go back. Another way to do it is to, see, the background is in solid, so it makes it a little more difficult. But what you could do is you choose a freehand mask. Okay. And you go around the grasshopper. Doesn't have to be right on it, just most of it. Control C, Control V. Now that's a new image. Now you go to this, I usually take the rectangle and you click anywhere outside of the mask and the mask disappears. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the original image and I'm going to click on the eyeball here, which makes the second image of the grasshopper that I just made disappear. So now I go back to the adjust the brightness, and now I can make the brightness a lot brighter and not have to worry about because the only details we're really losing is that of the grasshopper. So I could actually make this as bright as I want. It's a little too bright. Let's bring it down a little bit, and that's great. Now we turn this back on, and the only problem now is that green in there. So we can try, you click and hold this down, it gives you some more options. You go down on the magic wand. And this works great with solid, and that looks pretty solid actually. So we click on it, and if it takes too much of the brown or not enough of the brown, you can adjust the tolerance until it works perfectly. It looks pretty good. So I'm going to press the delete button, except that Control Z. I'm on the wrong layer. So I go to the object, I press delete. Try it again. Click on that, remove the mask, and it looks great. You still have the same detail, and if you want, you can adjust the brightness separately for this little image. In fact, you may want to make it a little lighter. Okay. Let's see if I add texture to it, plastic. That makes it kind of cool looking. I'll do that. Gives it a little more of a solid look. And now I just have to combine this image with the background. You can see by these dots, these little squares here, and by this lit up in blue that I have this object. And then I just do Control down button, and it's attached, and there's my image. Now a quick paper size to get the border. Pixels, it's centered. You add 200 pixels to each. That's just what I do. You can do whatever amount of pixels you want if you want a border at all. Resample it and change it to pixels and 650 on the width. And then scroll up to 100 to get a good look at it. It looks great. File, save as. _R. You're probably asking where are the originals. I'm saving them in PNG and the originals are in JPEG. So because I'm saving it in PNG, it doesn't show the JPEG. But if I go back into the actual folder later, you'll see them all. And actually when I'm done, I'm going to do that to show you the difference between the original and the new one. Okay, so to make this quick, you go to FX Blur, Jagged to Speckle. You do that once, it looks good. You go to brightness, you bring it all the way up. This goes to 0. You bring it back down, and you can see it needs a little more brightness going on. And you make it so it's nice and bright and keeps all the details. You change the paper size so you can get a nice black border on there, 3200 and 2600. And then image resample pixels, 650, 100%. And remember, you can just click on 100% if you're having trouble scrolling. It's just easier for me just to scroll it. _R, because my name is Randall. Or you could say it's revised, I don't know. X out of that. We have 2 more to go. Okay, so the lines aren't too bad, but you want to at least give it a little bit. I usually go all the way since it's a large object. I go right to 5 and see if it looks blurry, then I take it down. But an object this 5 at 5, Jagged to Speckle, it doesn't really make it that blurry. It just makes the lines around it nice and smooth. And I think that's where they got the name. They don't want jagged edges, so they get rid of the jagged edges with the Jagged to Speckle. Okay, now we go to the brightness. Yeah, I don't like that yellow. I want to keep the yellow the same. This kind of yellow, it's like an orangey yellow. So this might take a little bit. And that looks good. I think that's as bright as we want. If we want to, the man, you can highlight the man and copy and paste it like I did with the grasshopper, and then work the 2 separate images. You could do that with any image. It just depends on how much time you want to spend on it. Is it worth it? Changing just the background and not him, or changing him less than the background, stuff like that. In this case, for me, I'm happy with the brightness of it. It already was pretty bright. And I don't want the background to change to yellow. So this works for me. Paper size. imagery sample, pixels 650, 100%. Oop. Save as. Okay, I have one more image, and then I'll show you all the images next to each other and the difference between what they looked originally. And I have an artist that does these images for me. We tell them what we want as an image, and he takes it and he creates what we ask. And then I just do the editing, the last minute, the final editing before I post it. Okay, I don't know if this needs that much blur. That looks good. The brightness, wow, way too much. Okay. But you really, because if you look at this, you might not think that it really needs any more brightness. You say, oh, it's kind of bright. But the way you go all the way up, okay, that's how bright it could be. That's way too much. But this is not enough now after you saw that brightness. So you bring it up a little bit. That's good. Paper. So you see how quick I'm editing these images. I mean, these are decent images. And I run into different images that need different types of help. These ones this week have been pretty straightforward. So, but you could learn different tricks to overcome some of the challenges. This is 100%. Save as. And then I'm just going to show you now the originals from the edited. And there we go. Went from this to this. It looks nice with the border, and it looks nice, the brightness. You can see that there's a difference. Now, if you want to see these images in action and see what other images that I do, go to babygoatblog.net, or you could even go to babygoat.net, and that'll take you there also. And check it out. Subscribe to the site. Subscribe to this video and like it. And stay tuned. I'm going to keep producing these videos because from time to time I get different challenges and I show you what I do to overcome them. Thank you very much.